clear this notion about the Steele dossier. Let me ask you this, Director Comey. Was the Steele dossier the reason that the FBI began looking into Russian interference in the 2016 election?
No.
Are you aware, Director Comey, that none, not one, of the 37 indictments and 199 criminal counts resulting from the Mueller investigation relied on the Steele dossier?
I have read that.
I think that makes the case that all of this attention on the Steele dossier, as fascinating as that document may be, did not have direct relevance on the conclusion that the Russians were interfering in the 2016 election or the indictments that followed from the Mueller investigation.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
My time up?
No.
Oh, thank you. Let me ask, if I might, on a statement made by the Attorney General. Let's see if I can find this to be sure I got this accurately. On May 18th, Attorney General Barr gave a quote at the Department of Justice press conference. He said, "What happened to the president in the 2016 election and throughout the first 2 years of his administration was abhorrent. It was a grave injustice. It was unprecedented in American history." The Attorney General went on to say, "The law enforcement and intelligence apparatus of this country were involved in advancing a, quote, false and utterly baseless Russian collusion narrative against the president," end of quote. Then he went on to say, "The proper investigative and prosecutive standards of the Department of Justice were abused, in my view, in order to reach a particular result." Director Comey, would you comment on that statement made by Attorney General Barr about the men and women in the Justice Department?
He says that a lot. I have no idea what on earth he's talking about. This was an investigation that was appropriately predicated and opened, that had to be opened, and that was in the main conducted in the right way, picked up by the special counsel, led to the indictment of dozens of people, and a finding by your colleagues in the Senate that the head of Trump's campaign was a grave counterintelligence threat to the United States of America because he was funneling information to a known Russian intelligence officer. The notion that the Attorney General believes that was an illegitimate endeavor to investigate that mystifies me.
Thank you, Director Comey.
Thank you. If I could just respond a bit to what Senator Durbin said about the committee. I'm not here to suggest that the Russians did not interfere in the 2016 election. They did. Would they try to interfere in 2020? They would. They are. Is China trying to interfere? Yes. So we have briefings about this. I'm very concerned about it. But what brought us here today is that I supported legislation with my colleagues on this side of the aisle and your side of the aisle to make sure Mr. Mueller could do his job without political interference. Well, after 2.5 years and $25 million and 60 FBI agents, that job is done. Not one person has been charged with colluding with the Russians in the Trump world. Not one. Now, when we look into the work product, and I've asked Mr. Mueller to come and tell us about the Mueller investigation, he has chosen not to come. If you want Mr. Weissman to come, I would invite him. The committee is trying to save the FISA system. The FISA warrant applications against Carter Page should make every American concerned about how off the rails this system got. That the document necessary to get the warrant against an American citizen, the key document, was prepared by somebody on the Democratic payroll who hired a Russian suspected spy, and all the information in the dossier fell apart over time, and the court was never informed of the exculpatory evidence that was coming in. And what astounds me the most is that the director of the FBI in charge of this investigation involving a sitting president is completely clueless about any of the information obtained by his agency to throw suspicion over the document that the subsource was a suspected Russian agent. That when he was interviewed, he said it was all bar talk, hearsay, should be taken with a grain of salt. That the CIA told the FBI in December, this is internet rumor. None of that made it to the court. None of that. and he didn't know any of it. How is it possible that an investigation at this level, that none of this information that's damning to the case against Mr. Page never makes it to the top? And you want us to reauthorize this program with a system like that? Everybody's responsible, but nobody's responsible. Somebody needs to be responsible for misleading the court, excluding information to the court that was exculpatory, that would have mattered. How would you like your client to be treated like this? So my point is, I am trying my best to understand how the warrant application failed so many times, how the court was abused over months, and nobody seems to be as concerned about it as I am. Well, count me in about being concerned about Russian interference in 2016 and 2020. But if this committee does nothing else, it is up to us to find out how it got off the rails, how an FBI lawyer could doctor a document that was exculpatory to the subject of the investigation, be charged with a crime. How could that happen? Is there no checks and balances in the FISA process? Is there no duty to be candid with the court when you find something exculpatory? How do you present a document full of information? There is no consulate, Russian consulate in Miami. You had information, the whole sexual escapade thing was Russian disinformation, and it never made it to the court. How are we supposed to trust this system without fundamentally changing it and holding people accountable? One last question to you, Director Comey. I'll turn it over to Senator Lee. Knowing then what you know now about all the things that we've come to find, would you have still signed the warrant application against Carter Page in October, January, and April?
No, I would want a much more complete understanding of what we were.
Thank you very much. Senator Lee.